Circle's new payment network is going to be a game changer for the stablecoin space. On Monday, Circle, the issuer of the USDC stablecoin, announced a brand new payment platform called the Circle Payments Network. And you can guarantee, I spent the majority of this week trying to figure out exactly how it works and how it could potentially benefit some of the assets that we follow. As a matter of fact, if you're a fan of Stellar, you're going to be happy to find out that some of the original participants for this network are also within the Stellar ecosystem. They're wallets, which is a reoccurring theme when we really dig into this. I have quite a bit to share, so we're going to speed through this intro. Welcome, my name is Wade. You're listening to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. I've been in the space since 2019 and I've researched over 1,000 digital assets. And the primary reason I sit here at this desk in front of this camera is to share that knowledge with you. All I'm asking in return, you hit that like button or subscribe button if you find value. I have a goal. I want to see this channel hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Now, I usually do the little marketing bit. I'm going to save that for the end because we got a lot to go over here. So let's jump right into the description. All right. Simply put, this new Circle Payments Network is designed to be a space where banks, payment companies, on and off ramp providers, app developers, and other regulated stablecoin issuers can innovate together. Over time, an ecosystem of apps and modules will live on top of the platform. There will not be an additional token, which raises another question in and of itself. We'll touch a bit on that later. I want to share a clip with you right now. Last few seconds of this. It's an interview Circle posted in the last 24 hours between Standard Charter's Janet Thomas, global head of strategic partnerships, and Circle CFO Jeremy Ging. It's not anything groundbreaking that he's talking about, but the way he describes Circle now, in contrast to how I've heard Circle be described and marketed in the past, will give us the right context to carry on with the rest of this episode. Just 60 seconds. We're going to dive in. Let's take a listen.
I think this will catalyze much more cross-border use. Jeremy, can you give us a deeper look at the regulatory state of play?
Well, we're seeing regulation emerge and then converge around the world around a single set of standards, and there's a lot of momentum. So Japan passed stablecoin laws a couple of years ago. Singapore, where Circle's registered as a major payments institution, introduced a stablecoin regulatory framework in August 2023, and other Asian markets are close behind. For example, we expect Hong Kong to pass legislation. Looking to Europe, the MiCA regulations went into effect on the 1st of July in 2024, and MiCA defines stablecoins as e-money, giving them the green light for payments in the EU. And Circle is the only global stablecoin issuer to be MiCA compliant, so both USDC and EURC are now e-money in the European Union. And we are prudentially regulated by the French banking regulator, the ACPR. We think this growing regulatory consensus will spur the US and other jurisdictions to act, which itself could really jumpstart broader adoption.
So you'll notice all of the places that are the most forward when it comes to stablecoin regulation are markets where Circle has already been for years. Now you may be wondering, all right, what does this have to do with the rest of crypto? It's just stablecoins. They're not that important, right? Not entirely. So, longtime listeners, you've probably heard me say this before. I've even dropped it on X trying to be funny, right? Global stablecoin arrangements. Where does this come from? The idea started back in 2020. Nope, that's the white paper. We'll touch on that in a second. But you can see here, the G20 charged the Financial Stability Board with coordinating the delivery of an effective and comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto assets. This includes stablecoins. In July of 2023, the FSB finalized its recommendations for regulation, supervision, and oversight of crypto assets and markets, and its recommendations targeted at global stablecoin arrangements, which have characteristics that may make threats to financial stability more acute. It would take another 30-minute session to truly go down this rabbit hole with you. I would suggest you look into the FSB and G20's roadmap for cross-border payments. Look into building block 18 and 19, those two building blocks, will tell you what global stablecoin arrangements are. And when you begin to read into this information, you'll see the reason we are where we are right now with stablecoin regulation is because of the charge that the G20 placed on the FSB. When we were covering the agenda 2022, 2023, 2024, that is what we were referring to. Now things are beginning to manifest, because something else that is very prevalent in the documentation, the marketing around this stablecoin, is their approach in the beginning. I believe I have it highlighted here. Let me check my highlights here. Yes. In the introduction. And I'm going to share this with you because it is very profound. So what they're getting at is here, other international payment systems like SEPA in Europe, PIX in Brazil, or the UPI in India, they may have improved transaction speeds over the last few years. For India's case, a decade. They've improved payment speed, transaction speed, access to funding, things like that. But they still lack interoperability and the ability to scale. And they also can't, as they say, take advantage of the openness and extensibility of programmable money built on open blockchain networks. In a lot of cases, I know us crypto researchers, we wanted to just be black and white. Just tell me what I want to know. But you have to understand, crypto by definition means coded message. So look at it that way. I bring that up because throughout my research of this, I was constantly asking myself, okay, where are the connections to the networks, right? It's the terminology that they use that indicates a broad approach to these networks. A lot of the big names in the space, Circle, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, Exodus, they're all discussing multi-chain worlds. Danielle Dixon, every interview she gets, she talks about a multi-chain world. There won't be a network to rule them all. That is what this payment network will solidify, essentially. So let me show you what else this reminds me of, though, because this is also very important context. And we talked about it in the past. Do you remember this here? Universal Digital Payments Network is a collaborative effort platform built by Red Date Technologies, GFT Consulting out of Germany, and Hedera's own DLA Piper. The UDPN has since connected with the Hedera network. Why is that important? We'll take a look at some of their offerings. It's all centered around stablecoins. Every last one of them. Digital currency transfer and swap, implementing the travel rule, tokenized bank issued stablecoins, digital currency payment gateways, Swift-like messaging network, digital asset tokenization. What I'm trying to get you to see is the UDPN started something. It started a trend of non-blockchain companies figuring out how to develop their own blockchains. The difference is, and I'll show you another one here, blockchain-based services network, cross-cloud, cross-portal, cross-framework, basically the same thing, right? I'm seeing a pattern of non-token-based blockchain infrastructure popping up. However, the reoccurring theme is that they're always open access, open source, with the ability to speak to any blockchain that they want. At that point, it becomes a matter of preference. So you have now the Circle Payment Network, Universal Digital Payment Network, blockchain-based services network, and thanks to Google, a universal ledger. We covered the universal ledger in the membership section of this channel because it raised the question of how does this impact the networks that we follow if big names like a Google can create their own ledger? I stand on the side of this brings sophistication to the space. And I love a comment one of you made under that piece stating that with the current administration and all of the investment into blockchain, I think there will be powers in place that will prevent Google from completely eradicating or creating a monopoly in the world of DLT. That makes a lot of sense to me. You pair that reasoning with the fact that I believe Google's Universal Ledger, BSN, UDPN, and now CPN will bring more sophistication to the industry, which will allow people to then feel more comfortable engaging in the blockchain networks that do have tokens and coins. Because the tokens and coins, and I don't want to get on too much of a tangent because I got so much more to show you. The tokens and coins bring investor interest. Investor interest creates a conversation. That's how you get the communities. That's how you get the tribalism. That's how you get the attention. That's how you get the clicks, the ad revenue. I understand that. There's a pushback, though, because there isn't a token associated with these platforms. So you'll probably hear influencers describing these platforms as anti-crypto or a threat. I don't see that. We need sophisticated tech names to embrace our technology for the mainstream to be like, okay, let me see what you're talking about. So to me, this makes me bullish. It has me optimistic because now we're at a point in this industry where we have huge tech names that are no longer shy about getting involved with blockchain and DLT. So let's move forward a little bit because the billion-dollar question is which networks will this run on, right? Now you have to dig deep into Circle's Alliance directory because, like I mentioned, after I posted this thread, you can see I was on it April 21st on their heads there. We will cover this. I'm coming back to that. Don't worry. But they recently dropped this photo here telling us who the original design partners were going to be. Funny story. BVNK, they just made headlines reacting to something that Donald Trump did. I'd have to double check the article, but I found that to be very interesting, especially after seeing this photo. But in the X post, I dropped a few names that you should be looking into. Flutterwave, Yellow Card, D-Local, Coins PH specifically are in the Stellar ecosystem. Transfero and BVNK, I remember throughout my research, they're related to Ripple. All right. It will definitely take some more confirmations. You guys find anything else? Let me know down in the comments for sure. But these are our original design partners, people who will be on Circle's payment network day one. So as you get deeper into this payment network, what you begin to learn is that it needs certain things. Okay. So Circle's Payment Network, UDPN, Blockchain Services Network all talk about how existing in national payment systems can't connect to each other and they can't scale. So you have these players coming in and creating that middle layer. It's a tokenless blockchain DLT cloud-based, in most cases, infrastructure that allows people outside of the blockchain space as people in the blockchain space to communicate together. That is the importance of things like SDKs and application programming interfaces or APIs. I'm not a developer, but I've spent so much time reading these white papers and PDFs and everything that I understand that when it comes to coding, there is a central language and there are auxiliary languages. The central language is what brings everyone together, and somehow blockchain has found a way to get very close to the central servers. That should make you bullish because 4 years ago, we were nowhere near that. So looking at Circle's Alliance directory, I have it sorted by blockchain supported. Algorand, Hedera, and Stellar will start there, and you can see here Coins PH. Obviously, that's in Stellar's ecosystem. Copper X, I believe they are still working with Algorand. Let's click on this. When you click on these, you get pretty interesting details. CopperX businesses can send payouts to US, Europe, India, Singapore within 2 to 3 hours. Send Swift transfers globally on and off ramp, digital dollars and fiat. Right? Blockchain supported, Arbitrum based, Ethereum, Solana, Stellar, Polygon. All right. So I was a bit mistaken on that. That may not be the same Copper, the tokenized custody company out in Europe that used to work with Algorand. So let's keep rolling here. Cowrie, I'm familiar with them. You guys all know this one. Drop. All right. FedNow, Hedera. Okay. Blockchain supported. Hedera on and off ramps. Take some time and read through these descriptions. Again, it's the Circle Alliance directory, folks. Well, let's keep going and look at a few more. Flexa, I remember them from the AMP network, right? Fawn Bank, Folks Finance, folks in the building. We already know Folks Finance, Algorand, Fawn Bank, Stellar. Let's keep going here. Hacking, Halborn, those are companies I really need to look into. Immersive, Web3 apps and exchanges to issue branded MasterCards. Immersive and Pella Wallet. Collaboration on the Algorand network. That's how Pella Wallet holders can use their Algorand on an official MasterCard. Now USDC Circle then pulled them in. Let's look at a few more here. Klink. We'll come back to you, sir. Knox, LCX. Interesting story about LCX and Hedera from back in the day. I'm talking about closed doors meetings taking place at the World Economic Forum pre-COVID. So interesting to see them there. Lawfully, Metallicus, Metal Blockchain. I remember that. You guys talked a lot about Metal Blockchain, whether they would stick around, whether their connections to FedNow were legit. Hey, to see them in this alliance directory, give them something about. I'll give them their props for this one. Okay, let's see here. There's another very surprise. We got Open Zeppelin, Quick Node, also connecting to Stellar, Stratus X, stablecoin space for the EU area. So out of 131 results, I think you guys start to get the picture. You guys really start to get the picture. Zodia Markets, you can see that one was on the photo. Now, let me pause here and add this in really quickly. I just aped into this network. I have been seeing so many people talk about it. And when I discovered that they were wrapped up into Circle, yeah, I aped in. Okay, I aped in. They got funding by Circle, and there are several connections. I will be getting someone on the channel that's a bit more versed in the ZBEC network. We gonna get in on that one. But now let me show you the connection that I have been trying to find for years, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one that is found on XDCs.org website. It says Circle, right? And every time we go over it, I say, I do not know where that connection is. Found it. Klink Finance is one of them. AI-powered infrastructure for Web3 earnings, driving crypto wealth creation through multi-chain partner ecosystems integrations. Klink is connected to Arbitrum, Bybit, Coinbase, Crypto.com, XDC, Revolut, WireX, Ledger, so forth and so on. Pretty big names in the space. Other blockchains include Algorand, Hedera, and Stellar Lumen. So major player for us. But then you also go over here and it's just straight XDC Foundation. They go into describing XDC as a tokenization, RWA asset. And when you think about the offerings in the RWA space, USDC has the majority of them. We'll touch on that as well. But you can see here, they use USDC. It's Arbitrum and Ethereum. And we know XDC has that EVM compatibility. So anything you can do on Ethereum, you can do it on the XDC network. What I find interesting is the category and use cases that they fall into. Asset tokenization, B2B payments, cross-chain transfers, and trade finance. Now we hop back over here to the white paper. This is the perfect time to dive into use cases. I see we are approaching the 20-minute mark. We finna be going for a minute, all right? All right. If there's a break in between, it seems like it's edited in. It's because my camera cut off. I only got a 30-minute limit. But CP and strategy and vision, guys. This is when we get an idea of the use cases for the Circle Payment Network. And you can see here, trade finance, payroll and salary, Z-Bank, supplier payments, retail payments, AI, micros, remittances, e-com, subscriptions, forex, treasury, government payouts. Let me go on back to it. Let me go right up back to it. So we had a very strong discussion about these government and humanitarian payments in the last couple of weeks. Algorand, Stellar Lumens, right? Even SKUX through Mondelez International, thanks to Hedera. Now Circle is getting involved here. Y'all know how I feel about patterns. And this is another one forming. Now, I don't see it being a bad thing at all. But one of the dual use cases, one of the best use cases, in my opinion, for blockchain technology will be government services. And this is where it's going to start. So I show you this not to plant a flag on a particular outcome. This is the setup. Okay. And the curveball, the punch will come very soon. So let's hop back over here, look at some more use cases. And when you really look at the use cases and you go back to the Alliance network and you pair this with the participants in the beginning, the picture you begin to get is Circle has become the Amazon Web Services for the stablecoin industry. Straight like that. Because when you look at all of the offered use cases, they will one need a wallet to receive an on and off ramp, which means that wallet will have to live on a certain network or be connected to certain networks. Just in the, let's say, trade finance realm, right? We go back over here to this photo. Not specifically focused at trade finance, not to my knowledge. We'll definitely have to do more digging. But if I'm not mistaken, BVNK does funding, the trade finance funding. So that is what you would look for if any of these companies participate in trade finance funding or supply chain financing. That would be the biggest clue. And then outside of trade finance, micropayments, we already know Algorand and Hedera are designed for that. Remittances, cross-border payments, Stellar Lumens. It's done on Algorand as well. It's done on XDC, right? So I'm just giving you the names of the networks that we follow the closest. This could also include other assets, particularly payroll and salary, like a Z-Bank. So what this ultimately creates, I'm going to get over to this last point here. I'm going to share with you guys. Is like I said, Circle now has created the AWS marketplace for stablecoins. And the biggest advantage that they now have over Tether, real world asset tokenization. 27 RWAs compared to Tether's 18. Now, where Tether does have the advantage is gold. Way more gold on Tether than anywhere else. But global bonds, U.S. treasuries, private credit, institutional funds, all of those are running through Circle. So, as it stands right now, the gap between Circle and Tether is about $60 billion. But I remember when Circle you got to look at it like this. The 60 billion that Circle has now, in 2020, it was 12. So by 2030, just taking into the law of exponential growth, they should be able to catch Tether by then, especially if the RWA sector accelerates. And who's at the top of the RWA mountain? Stellar. XDC. Algorand, when we're talking tokenized stock offerings. 396 million, thanks to Exodus. Things are looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Point I'm trying to make here. If you invest in networks that are closely associated with a stablecoin, then you stand the chance to benefit from the advancements that the stablecoin makes, because the stablecoin can't do anything without a network. Okay? Can't do anything. I don't know, but you can't just program a stablecoin into your existing bank infrastructure. Because if you could, we'd see it. We aren't seeing it. So obviously, it's a bit more difficult than what people let on. Okay? So, how do we wrap this up? Where do we go from here, ladies and gentlemen? Like I said, now this confirms it. With CPN, UDPN, Blockchain-Based Services Network, Google's Universal Cloud, and Linux Foundation, which is that's who created the Hyperledger, which was the original tokenless DLT platform. But what you learn when you study Hyperledger is that Hyperledger's name and their infrastructure and influence made networks like Ripple, Cardano, Algorand, Solana, Ethereum more popular. That's what I see happening through networks like BSN, UDPN, and now Circle Payments Network. So, you guys know on this channel, we like to cover the fundamentals. Okay? The events that happen that move the needle, and Circle's Payment Network is definitely one of them. So, now that we're at the end of this, guys, I was able to get it in under the 30-minute mark. Let's see if we can get this marketing done in less than 2 minutes. So, DHN Blockchain Starter Kit. If you're new to the space, I need you to go to the link under this video in the description or in the pinned comment and download your Blockchain Starter Kit. Breaks down the entire blockchain space into a few easy to understand verticals: enterprise, emerging tech, gaming, DeFi, and macro level events, which what we just talked about would definitely fall into that category. The adoption model, a visualization of how blockchain technologies are adopted, criteria for evaluating digital assets, links to various blockchain networks. It's really everything you need to be aware of if you're a first timer in the crypto space. Now, outside of that, this is something that I've created. It's new to me. It's actually posted right here behind me. It's the new financial system master sheet. You can find this in the exact same place. And this will give you even more of a guidebook on what to look for when you're looking into your favorite assets. So outside of that, if you want to support the channel, check out staking on Uphold. Also, look into your IRA through Robinhood. I've been using it for a little over a year now. Haven't had any issues, so I recommend it to you guys. With that, let me know your thoughts on this Circle Payment Network. I'm going to get out of here before the timer shuts off, so you know what that means. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.